It looks like we are on the air. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wrestling Warm-Up on October 13th. As always, it's me, Chris Walder. It's not Doug O'Mac today. We've moved on up in the world of hosting. And I take that back, actually, because in case Doug comes, I don't want him getting mad at me. He is the boss of WrestlingRumors.net. But I am taking over for at least one day. Doug has some other errands he has to run, some other commitments he has to take care of. He might join us later. Yeah, there you go, Alex. Speaking of which, we do have someone here, Mr. Alex B. Song. What's up, champ?
Yeah, we'll do it live today. Do it live.
Yeah, we're always live. That's how we do it here at Wrestling War.
That's how we do it live. Do it live. Stoked for
you're freaking me out, Alex.
Monday Night Raw.
That's true, yeah. Monday Night Raw, oh joy. We're just a couple of hours away from that mess of a show, unfortunately. We'll probably recap a little bit of what happened last week, talk to you guys about what's going on tonight. You know, a lot of news coming out today, a lot of breaking stuff. John Cena's back on that rap game. Word Life, Wiz Khalifa, all that good stuff. But we're going to start off with the main talking point from last week's show. We had a certain Mr. Hollywood show up, people's eyebrow galore. The Rock, out of the blue, in Brooklyn, shows up to go do his little spiel with Rusev, of all people. Does a little back and forth with Lana as well. Alex, what did you take away from that one?
I mean, there's really not much to take away because this isn't going to lead to anything like immediate. Rock. We know Rock's not going to be there tonight. But I do think you can take away the fact that Rusev is going to be someone they're going to try and push into this main event scene. I mean, him not like getting a rock bottom or people's elbow really means that they are high on him. They want to protect him and Lana, who they're also pretty high on him. I even read, too, that The Rock himself, the only reason he did that was because he wanted to work with Lana. So I think that's a very, very cool thing that those two are going to hopefully get pushed in the main event stardom. You just have to hope that Rusev does not lose for the time being up the Royal Rumble, up the WrestleMania, because he can't afford a loss at this stage.
Who doesn't want to work with Lana? Let's be honest. I would just stare at her for the entire segment. I don't have to say a word. And you know what? Screw the audience. If they're not happy with that, I would certainly be happy because I'm looking at Lana. But yeah, about the segment, I think it was just a one-day spiel. I think Rock just showed up because he was in the city. I don't know how much of a pat on the back it is to Rusev at this point. There were people messaging me on Twitter afterwards saying, "Yo, Walder, are we going to get Rock versus Rusev at Hell in a Cell?" And I'm just like, why would you even think that? That's not even close to what's happening. We're still going to get Rusev versus Big Show. And they even had that on the 5-point preview tonight. They said, Rusev, is Big Show going to wish that Rock was in his corner? Which basically makes Big Show look like a joke. Because let's face it, Rusev is going to go over at Hell in a Cell. The match has not been announced yet, but we are going to get Rusev versus Big Show at some capacity at the pay-per-view. And then what else we got? Last week, Dean Ambrose went to the Coney Island because he was as bored with Raw as we were. He just wanted to get the hell out of there, grab some hot dogs. But at the end of the night, he comes back, and we get the announcement for Hell in a Cell. We finally have a match for the bloody card. We're 2 weeks away, and we only have one match, and then the other one is still up in the air because the first match determines that match. But so far, we have Dean Ambrose versus John Cena in a no-holds-barred contract on a bloody pole match. Like, really? On a pole? You could just stick it in the air and give me a ladder match. If you're going to do that, just give me a ladder match. But Alex, what are your thoughts? Are you cool with this stipulation? Could they have done something better?
They could have done something better, but like about Raw too, can we talk about the fact, I forget who actually mentioned this in our little chat, but so Dean Ambrose, he always comes out to the ring, his hair is a mess, he's already soaked wet. And then they show the video of him boarding the train, which is obviously pre-taped. His hair's dry. Where's the continuity, WWE? What is this crap? Anyway,
watch your language there, Alex.
Anyway, a no-holds-barred contract on a pole match. I mean, they could have done things better. They maybe could have done things worse, but what I don't get is if it's a contract on a pole match, how do you get disqualified in the first place? What do you do? Oh, I'm going to hit you with the give him the contract right now. It's obviously no holds barred. I mean, they could have done something better, but hopefully the reports of WWE actually moving this back a week to Monday Night Raw are true, because I don't want to see this at the pay-per-view itself, because that you can either just kill Dean Ambrose's momentum or have John Cena possibly kill his and Seth Rollins' momentum.
You make an excellent point, Alex, something we did not report as of yet, because I reported on a lot of other stuff. Don't be greedy, people. But it looks like we might be getting Ambrose versus Cena a week early at Monday Night Raw next week. They might just have the contract on a pole match ahead of time on free TV, and then the winner goes on to Hell in a Cell, faces Rollins in the main event. And then what we've reported before, the loser would go one-on-one with Randy Orton. So sorry, I need my happy juice. But yeah, it looks like Randy Orton will get incorporated into the picture tonight. Loser faces Orton at Hell in a Cell. I'm not for this whole John Cena Ambrose Rollins thing right now. I'm disappointed that Brock Lesnar is not going to be at the pay-per-view. I think he needs to be there all the time. And I don't understand with his new contract that he apparently signed, saying he can work all of these dates that WWE wants him to work. So that makes me think that WWE is deliberately taking him off of the pay-per-view for no reason whatsoever. So he better be at Survivor Series. It looks like they might keep him off until Royal Rumble, which I think would be an absolute joke. It would make the next couple of pay-per-views completely meaningless, in my opinion. But, yeah, there you go. Ambrose and Cena in a contract on a pole match. If you have any comments in the chat room or any questions you want to pose to me and Alex, John Alba will be here shortly. Doug O'Mac will be here as well. And, yeah, if you have any questions, comments, just send them our way. Alex, are you going to look at the chat room for me, buddy?
Yeah, chat room and Twitter at WrestleRumors, or if you want to tweet to myself, I wouldn't do that if I were you, at GlassModeALB, but, send those tweets in so we can talk about some stuff, wrestling.
At least, yeah, just don't message Alex about Pittsburgh teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please use correct grammar. I don't want any of this is John Cena, Joncean. I don't want any of this crap, all right? Keep it grammar, at least a 5th grade level if you can. If not, I apologize.
Is someone spelling John Cena that way?
Oh, yeah. The guy who is Sting going to be here? Is John Cena going to turn heel? That guy. He's got a lot of funky spellings going on right there.
I think we can guarantee you one thing. Sting is not going to be on Monday Night Raw tonight. He's not going to be at Hell in a Cell.
You never know.
Damn it, Alex. He's not going to be here. Maybe Ryback, though. What about that? You think Ryback's going to show up tonight?
No, he's gonna be in the Wyatt family. So.
Oh, there you go. Hey, there's a perfect segue. Wyatt family.
Yeah.
There you go. I posted an article today on WrestlingRumors.net. Sam Roberts, a famous wrestling journalist out there, former host of the Opie and Anthony. He did a recent interview with Bray Wyatt, and Wyatt teased, something really, really big is in store for his character, and he even downplayed the fact that he wasn't on a pay-per-view recently. He was kept off of Night of Champions. And now we're getting these vignettes with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. And now we've had one for Harper, one for Rowan. What do we expect tonight from Bray Wyatt? Do we expect something similar, another video promo? Do we see the groundwork being laid out for his return? What are we doing here, Alex?
I don't know. I don't think they're going to have him return quite yet. If he does return, it's either going to be, at least I would assume, the go-home show, which would be next week, or just the show after Hell in a Cell. But I really don't know where they're going. They could either just have Harper and Rowan begin their own careers, and I don't know where Wyatt would go from there, because the only thing I could see happening with Wyatt's teasing, he built them up, he's letting them roam free, has got to be more members to the Wyatt family to either replace or add on the Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. But I just want this to end in something like huge and monumental, something that WWE is lacking right now. You have to end this in some monumental thing with the way Wyatt and these vignettes are hyping this all up.
And we've talked about this amongst ourselves on Facebook. We have a WrestlingRumors.net chat that we just kind of go over our ideas with. And something John Alba brought up to us, and he was talking about Survivor Series next month. Not Hell in a Cell. That pay-per-view is going to be spoken for shortly. But he was calling that, in recent years we've had, like a couple of years ago, we had the Shield debut. And he was thinking we need something like catastrophic, something monumental to get us through Survivor Series and then the rest of the year. And he was thinking that Survivor Series, after the main event, would be a perfect time to bring back the Wyatt family, maybe under a different look, maybe with more members. I don't know for sure, but I do think Survivor Series is a good point. Alex, where do you think? Say it right now. When do the Wyatt family return?
I'd say Survivor Series at the earliest.
So we think they're just going to keep doing video promos from now until when is Survivor? It's like mid-November, right?
Yeah, well, by Survivor Series, I mean kind of like the build to it. Probably not the event itself. The event itself would be a perfect time, but I could see them like debuting like right before then or like right after Hell in the Cell. But I think Survivor Series itself would be the best way to go around this whole thing with like a Shield type thing.
And do we think maybe is there a face turn on the horizon? Maybe for Bray Wyatt, maybe Harper and Rowan become face. Maybe the group splits entirely. When the Wyatt family return, are any of them good guys?
They're already good guys, says Doug O'Mac.
They're not
You know,
good guys. They're being booked as bad guys, but the fans love them. That's
but
different.
they say the crowd's or the location's name before their entrance. Their faces, god damn it.
Well, let's ask the chat room right now. What do you guys think about the Wyatt family? When are they going to return? Are they going to be faces, heels, tweeners, anything of the sort? Leave us a comment in the chat room or hit us up on Twitter at WrestleRumors, at our personal accounts at Walder Sports, at Glassmode ALB. Let us know what you think about the Wyatt family because right now, for a group that's not even on television, they're probably one of the most interesting things right now. Sorry, Alex, you had something to say?
Yeah, we do have a question from native Wrestling Rumors fan and Philadelphia native Ed Call. He asked, where is the upside in repackaging Rowan? Is his potential limited? That's a very good question because only Harper really has this tremendous upside. I don't see Rowan going anywhere besides maybe the like lower mid card, in my opinion.
See, I think people are selling Rowan a little bit short just because of the potential that Harper has. That doesn't mean that Rowan is a lost cause. I think he still can be used in some capacity in an effective manner. But right now, I wouldn't want to see him split off on his own. I think if the Wyatt family are calling it a day, I think he and Rowan and Harper need to become a tag team and hopefully roll through the tag team division. We talked about this months ago at Money in the Bank when they were fighting the Usos. When I always make fun of the fact that I was the only one to pick the Usos against the Wyatt family 2 pay-per-views in a row. But at the same time, inside I was like, the Wyatt family needs to win this match. They need to be tag team champions, and they never rolled with that. And I feel like now, especially since you're just kind of treading water with Stardust and Goldust, and all you're doing with those guys are throwing them in 6-man tag team matches every week and not really building a division, why not have Harper and Rowan grab the gold? I think now would be a perfect time. What do you think about that?
I definitely think it could be time for them, just a way to like rejuvenate the whole thing, because they were actually a lost cause. I mean, no match at Night of Champions was an absolute joke, and the only way you can rebound is doing something big, and possibly them chasing the tag titles and actually winning it this time around would do that.
I think I got a happy Thanksgiving message here in the chat room. I think that might have been Acer, because oh no, it was JBL's Dragon. I'm checking. This is your job, Alex. What am I doing here? If someone wishes me a happy Thanksgiving, we need to make that apparent because it is
Happy Columbus Day, Ed.
What do you guys celebrate for Columbus Day anyway?
I don't know. The discovery of America by a very, very bad individual who tormented the indigenous people.
Are we anti-Christopher Columbus on Columbus Day?
No, not necessarily. He gives us all a day off. Not all of us, because it's really a joke holiday, but he gives some of us a day off. And that's enough to be grateful for, even though he was a terrible human being.
They never taught us that in Canadian history. You would think so, but we learned more about
like, in American history.
What? Sorry?
They teach that in American history, that he was a terrible person. I have no idea why.
Well, of course they're going to teach you that in American history, but we're getting off course here. This is a wrestling show. We're not here to teach you about history. We're here to make history on Wrestling Warm-Up, as we always do. What else? Yeah, big news. John Cena. You even reported about this last week, or on Friday, that John Cena had a big announcement to make on Monday morning, and it turns out that he, along with Wiz Khalifa, a famous rapper, I mean, I don't really listen to his stuff.
From Pittsburgh, nonetheless.
Is he really? Is he from Pittsburgh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll be damned.
Black and yellow.
Black and yellow. Yeah, you're right, man. Steelers and Penguins. Is there another
Pirates
team that has black and yellow? Yeah, there you go.
Pittsburgh Power AFL team.
Yeah, no one cares about the AFL, unfortunately. But it looks like Wiz Khalifa and John Cena are going to be joining forces to take care of the WWE 2K15 soundtrack, something that 2K Sports always has for their sports games like NBA 2K15. And I've actually heard a couple of the tracks that Cena did, and they're not bad. I mean, say what you will about his character on screen, him being repetitive, him being boring, the guy could rap. And if you check out the songs, you can check out one of them on WrestlingRumors.net under the article we posted about the soundtrack being unveiled. What do you think about this? People were messaging on Twitter. They were talking on Twitter about the fact that maybe these outside influences like music and making movies are finally catching up with Cena.
No,
Maybe this will be his ticket out of WWE.
No, that's just pure BS. It happened whenever he landed that role in the Amy Poehler Tina Fey film. But the one thing I'm a bit perplexed about, I understand like NBA 2K, they always have all these rap songs. We're talking about WWE 2K15, a generally kid-friendly game if you consider the target audience. You look at the soundtrack, it's all rap songs. I mean, I was kind of stunned to think. I mean, who knows if they have like explicit language and whatnot, but I was a bit shocked to see all this rap on a like kid-friendly video game.
Well, I mean, they're not going to be swearing. They're not going to be talking about drugs and alcohol, I would assume. And if they are in the song, they'll probably just censor it, right?
I guess, but I'm looking for a real soundtrack when I fire up some wrestling video games. You know, like some Foo Fighters or AC/DC. I'm looking for some rock, not some rap.
Well, we'll pose that question to the chat room. If you were creating the WWE 2K15 soundtrack, which songs, actual songs, would you like to see in the game? And it could be rock, rap, not country, unless you're like a West Texas redneck fan. WCW point right there, if you figure out who those guys are. But yeah, message us in the chat room. Let us know what songs you would enjoy in the game. I'm more of a rocker myself. When you said Foo Fighters, I was all for that. I love me some Linkin Park. There's actually some Canadian bands I listen to, which no one out there probably knows of. But it's all good. We also had a question from the chat room coming in from Bork Lesnar. Nice name. It was something along the lines of, do we think that Roman Reigns' interview last week, which I totally forgot about because it was forgettable. It was 45 seconds of nothing. But we talked about it on WrestlingRumors.net that Vince McMahon was not at all happy with the way it came off. Do we think that this is going to be the beginning of the end for Reigns, or at least kind of going to derail his progress on top of his injury? Maybe this is another dark cloud over his career, or his future anyway.
I think he can rebound from the injury. I don't know if you want to say like 145-second thing's going to like derail him. But to answer your question, Mr. Laser, Mr. Bork Laser, it was a terrible, terrible segment. I mean, you can't really blame Reigns. He's not that good on the mic anyway, but the writers only give him 45 seconds in an obviously pre-taped thing with Cole asking. The whole thing was so awkward. It had no flow. And Reigns himself was talking about how he would be there live. It just made no sense to do that. I mean, you build that thing up and advertise it. I could see if you advertised it maybe the day of the show, but to advertise that for a week and have it be a minute long, I mean, that's just a joke. That's something the creative team needs. I mean, that's where they fault, I think. Him and Vince McMahon. Jeez.
It sucked. Like, there's no way getting around it. It was a complete waste. It accomplished nothing. Yeah, you go online and you can look up his interview with Sam Roberts at Ringside Fest. He said a hell of a lot more than what he did on Monday Night Raw. And he was in the building, apparently. Like, he was there in Brooklyn. Why not have him out in the ring? I guess they didn't want to take away anything from The Rock, who, by the way, had an entrance that lasted approximately 3 minutes and 30 seconds, which is 3 times as long as the time that Roman Reigns talked, which they advertised for a week. Ugh. Why? Like, I just want to, like, cover my eyes. Like, the decision-making of this company just keeps getting worse and worse week by week. But you know what? It's all good because we're going to get someone named Nene tonight on Monday Night Raw as a guest host. Do you even know who she is? Apparently she's like
Nene Leakes. Alright, so this is going to be quite sad. I do know who Nene Leakes is because when I was a little pumpkin, I used to watch The Celebrity Apprentice, and she was on there one season. That is the only reason why I've ever heard of this individual. And the other individual is Chris Lee, who we should all know by now because, goddamn, every single Monday Night Raw you get, oh, Chris Lee knows best, all new tonight. I don't get it. I personally do not see how they honestly believe that these reality TV show stars are going to actually produce any sort of rating bump. It makes absolutely no sense.
Well, how far did Nene get in The Apprentice? Did she go far? Did she win it?
I don't think she won it. She probably got the boot pretty early on.
At least if you're gonna have celebrities on Raw, at least have someone that the majority of the world knows. Like when they said this on Raw, my girlfriend actually texted me afterwards because she noticed that I wrote the name Nene, whatever her last name was. What was it again, Alex? Nene
Leaks,
Leaks?
I
Yeah,
think.
Leaks. Yeah, my girlfriend knows who she was, but I had no clue. And she was actually more excited than I was that she was going to be on Monday Night Raw. She couldn't figure out what she was going to do, and let's face it, no one else can either. If you want to call Daniel Bryan a B+ player, Monday Night Raw brings the C- celebrities as far as I'm concerned. Uh,
One,
what?
one last thing about this, which I don't understand it in the slightest. So we had Kathy Lee and Hoda advertised, and then The Rock shows up unannounced. Right now we have those two people we just mentioned advertised, and Ric Flair is not advertised to appear, but he will reportedly appear. How do you do this? How do you not advertise a big-time wrestling star that might actually give you a ratings bump? He's going to be on the. How do you not advertise that?
Because WWE probably thinks that Hoda and Kathy Lee's fans will tune into Raw just to see them. And Ric Flair has been on Raw several times and has accomplished nothing. So there's really no point to advertise his appearance because, frankly, he's probably not going to do a damn thing. He's going to say, he's probably going to endorse somebody like he's done the last couple of times. Oh, the Shield are awesome. They're going to beat Evolution. Oh, John Cena's going to win his Fatal 4-Way against, Reigns, Orton, and Kane. Ooh, super de duper, because that's what Flair does now. And he shows up for Hogan's birthday party and doesn't do anything there either. So why advertise Flair? Who cares at this point?
True, true. And we have another question too from Ed that talk about what happened on Tuesday, technically Friday. We had the big SmackDown 15, and it was in Philadelphia, and they made the announcement there that the Royal Rumble is going to actually occur this year in Philadelphia. And Ed wants to know, what do we think of the? Well, it's not a rumor now because it is actually confirmed by the company, what they said at the event, that 40 people will be in this year's Royal Rumble. What do you think about that, Chris?
Good. Thank God. Do something different. People have kind of pooped on the one that they did last time. I think it was like 2011, the one that Alberto Del Rio won, and they thought that 40 superstars was too much. No, I say put 50 in there. Make it 60. I want to see more people in there. Why the hell not? This also means that we could be getting a lot of surprise returns. Maybe Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, Bad News Barrett, Sting. Maybe we can stop getting those tweets. Maybe Sting returns at the Royal Rumble. 40 superstars gives a lot more leeway for people to show up, surprise returns, maybe superstars from the past that we haven't seen in 1.5 million years. I'm all for it, but that means that, if you show up in like the first 15 picks, you're probably not going to win, right?
I don't know. You can still win, I think. I mean, you're going to have to last a lot longer, but they can always just like speed up the pacing of the match. And to another group I don't think you mentioned that you probably, I thought you would, NXT guys. We saw last year was Rusev, 2 years ago Bo Dallas. I mean, you could actually see like maybe more than like one NXT guy actually get a shot in the Rumble before he actually debuts.
That's true. I mean, if there was ever a time to debut Adrian Neville or Sami Zayn, because we do have, I think there's one more NXT show before the end of the year, and right now the main event penciled in is Neville and Zayn for the NXT Championship. Hasn't been confirmed yet. Sorry if I'm spoiling anything for anyone. But I think if Neville drops the title, which I certainly think he would, now would be, or then would be a good time to move him up to the main roster full time and having him be an entrant in the Royal Rumble, because with the continued trend of NXT superstars making their debut, like Bo Dallas, like Rusev, who falls next in line, I think Neville would be a perfect fit, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Adrian Neville is a guy that I think has sky-high potential. I mean, I don't watch NXT, so I don't know what his move is, but that move is just something special that I have not seen ever done in a wrestling ring.
You mean the Red Arrow, right?
Yeah, Red Arrow. That's its name.
Yeah.
Forgot about it.
Yeah, it makes Justin Gabriel's 450 splash look obsolete. That's gonna be a hard finisher to top, as far as just like the beautifulness of it, the way it looks, and what we've seen shooting star presses, we've seen all the other stuff. But the Red Arrow by Adrian Neville, if you have not seen it, look it up on YouTube, because damn, that might be the best move in the company right now. But we'll pose the question to you guys in the chat room on Twitter. 40-person Royal Rumble right now. Who is your favorite right now, based on storylines, based on the way it looks, WrestleMania booking? Who would you have win the Royal Rumble? Because there's probably around 5 or 6 guys who could realistically win it. And I know we've talked on WrestlingRumors.net several times that Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar appears to be the main event for WrestleMania. But now with the interview, with his injury, maybe Reigns isn't put into that spot. So we ask you guys, who is your pick to win the Royal Rumble? Very early, it's October, but we don't care. We make bold predictions right now, right, buddy?
Yep.
And who's your pick? Let's do this really early, and I'll hold you to this.
Really early. I'd say Daniel Bryan. I really think that he could get his momentum back immediately. If he comes out number 30 like John Cena did in 2008, instantly he gets all his momentum back, which he hasn't even lost because not every single week, but when applicable, you hear yes chants still sky high. That's who my favorite is, at least for now.
I honestly do agree with you because I don't think WWE wants a repeat of last year when Daniel Bryan didn't even show up and they had Batista win, who, by the way, has lost a ton of weight, and you can check it on the WrestleRumors Twitter account because he's doing a movie with Robert De Niro called Bus 567 or something along those lines. But yeah, back to the Daniel Bryan point. Right now, if he does return, I think he is the favorite just because, or if not, the person who eliminates him has to be his opponent for WrestleMania. I think that's the only way you can get around it.
Yep.
And we've been outspoken about a former TNA guy who's not under contract with the company right now, and I reported about it earlier. Mr. Gold medalist Kurt Angle. Right now, there's apparently not any talks between WWE and Kurt Angle. There was a rumor, something you reported actually, that WWE had offered him a full-time contract, but the only reason they may have done that is because they know Angle wouldn't accept it, because Angle's looking for something short-term where he doesn't have to work all of the house shows, he can work fewer dates. So it's still up in the air at this point, but what do you think, Alex? Do we see Kurt Angle back in a WWE ring at the end of this year, possibly heading into the road to WrestleMania?
I think the earliest that he would return is January, just based on what he said, too, about having some company lined up. I think it is true that he's going to come back. I mean, you really need main event guys as it is right now in this current format. I mean, Kurt Angle can go. He doesn't need to end his career in TNA or Jeff Jarrett's GFW. You need to have Kurt Angle come back for 1 year run, have his contract not be full-time, make it like what Randy Orton actually refuted it, I think you talked about before. But have it be something where he doesn't have to work that many house shows, if any at all. Just have him come back, return full-time on TV, and have him go off into the sunset.
If he does wrestle at WrestleMania, who do you think would be the best fit for him? Because right now, a lot of people are calling for Kurt Angle versus Rusev, only because of the American versus Russia thing. And, we've had Mark Henry, Jack Swagger, and now it looks like the Big Show are all going to fall at Rusev's feet. It would make sense for an Olympic gold medalist to finally take down Rusev.
Yeah, that would be my number one guy to face Kurt Angle, Rusev. I could also see, I don't know how it would get there because, like we said, if Daniel Bryan does enter the Royal Rumble and Kurt Angle does too, Kurt Angle eliminating Bryan would be a means to get to that match, but you have to have Kurt Angle come back as a face. He's not going to come back as a heel, but that's really the only other opponent that I would see because that match itself sells itself. I mean, that would be tremendous.
We just got a question again from one of our beloved fans, Ed Call. What do we think about TNA's Bound for Glory last night? Ooh, do not get me started. What do you think?
What do I think?
So I can contain my excitement.
As much as I know, I reported on this Saturday, Dixie Carter, bless her little heart, made a terrible joke about the typhoon that was landing as she tweeted out a Photoshop picture of the storm in the epicenter, or whatever you want to call it. Whose face is it? James Storm. But the event itself, I read the spoilers. God, no, I would not watch that crap. I don't think they're hurt. How do you not have Bobby Roode or Austin Aries on that pay-per-view card? I understand you have it in Japan. You have all these Japan guys. How do you not have one of those two, if not both of them, on that card?
And, I mean, for some of the guys, it made sense. Apparently, Jeff Hardy wasn't allowed in the country, so they couldn't book him for the show. I doubt that was the same case for Austin Aries. I doubt that was the same case for Bobby Roode. You didn't even have Lashley on the damn card, and he's your world champion. Like, there's no excuse for that, unless there was some sort of conflict of interest with, if he was doing some Bellator training or had a fight or whatever, but it doesn't look like that was the case. And what was the main event last night? I think it was like Great Sonata and James Storm versus Great Muta and Tajiri. Like,
I don't even think I don't know who the champion even is, but I don't think they're like the TNA World Heavyweight Championship was defended. The only title that I saw was I think the tag titles possibly, and the or the knockout title or whatever you want to call it. Those were the only two TNA titles on the show, and the knockout match was supposedly god awful. So, not a good way to have your biggest show of the year go down, in my opinion.
The only, and we're not going to get too in deep about TNA, but the only thing I think they're doing right at this point is a former NXT guy who went by the name of Derek Bateman. He was the protege of Daniel Bryan on one of the seasons, the early seasons when they were doing, drinking soda and all those early competitions. Ethan Carter III, I think he's one of the most entertaining guys in wrestling right now, to be honest. And kudos to TNA for not screwing him up. He's still undefeated, and I think it would have made sense. If Bound for Glory was in America, he probably would have fought for the World Heavyweight Championship, to be honest. They could have put the belt back on Roode, and I would have bought into a Bobby Roode versus Ethan Carter III main event for the title. And that's just my 2 cents. There's no need else to talk about TNA Bound for Glory because, frankly, I can't say anything about the wrestling. I didn't watch it, but just the way it was booked, the way it was built, it just didn't intrigued me in the slightest. It was just a glorified episode of Impact, to be honest.
Yep, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Actually, something that was just announced a couple of hours ago, or not a couple of hours ago, we reported a couple of hours ago, Global Force Wrestling, one of their first pay-per-views in conjunction with New Japan Pro Wrestling, their main event is going to be the new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Hiroshi Tanahashi, who beat AJ Styles on Sunday. Check that out on WrestlingRumors.net as well. And he's going to be facing Kazuchika Okada. And both of those guys were in the PW 500 in the top 10. So I could say right now that match is better than anything you would have seen on TNA Bound for Glory. Now, I don't know, do you follow any of the Japanese stuff, Alex? Or
no, I don't have the time to, really. I mean, I did see AJ Styles is kicking it down there pretty good, but I don't follow that much.
Actually, I could show you all a picture. AJ Styles autographed picture. I was recently at the ROH All-Star Extravaganza pay-per-view. It was here in Toronto, and I met AJ Styles, one of the nicest guys I've ever met, one of the nicest wrestlers I've ever met. And I asked him, I was like, how do the American superstars interact with Japanese guys in the ring? Because you would think that they don't know how to call the moves in the English language. But apparently wrestling is a universal language. If you call arm drag, back body drop, power slam, whatever, the guys who don't even speak English know what you're talking about. So a cool little story there. But we will move on. More talk about Monday Night Raw. More talk about Hell in a Cell. Because now that it is 2 weeks away, we still don't have much of a card. Alex, what else do you see being booked for this thing? Any more title matches? Brie, Nikki, what do you got?
We'll see at least 2 more title matches in the form of Dolph Ziggler, who's the Intercontinental Champion, will challenge Cesaro, it looks like, in a match that nobody's going to care about. There's just no build. It'll be a good match. And similarly, Miz is going to face... Oh, God, this is how bad it's gotten. I've forgotten who Miz is feuding with.
It's Sheamus.
Sheamus, yep.
Right? Yeah.
Sheamus is probably going to retain. But the only saving grace to be had there is Mizdow, but other than that, we'll see probably another title match in the form of the Dust and the Usos, Nikki versus Brie, but, I mean, not much to get excited about.
If you guys thought that Night of Champions was a one-match pay-per-view with Cena versus Lesnar, Hell in a Cell is going to be the epitome of a one-match pay-per-view because the only reason you're going to watch this is, the chance, and it's still a chance at this point because it's not official, of Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins having a Hell in a Cell match. And we saw what they could do with a lumberjack match, one of the worst stipulations in wrestling today, and they made that a 5-star classic as far as I'm concerned, the best match on the card that night. And if you lock those two in a cell, holy crap, we might be talking, something along the lines of like HBK Taker, or, some of the better cell matches we've ever seen. I don't think Ambrose is going to be thrown off the top or anything like that, but you could still have a really good Hell in a Cell match with 2 guys who can go. But like you said, Alex, right now the rest of the card is just, it's just a bunch of who cares. Miz, Sheamus, we're getting that on Raw. Unless they throw Mizdow in there, you think maybe there's a chance we get Sheamus versus Mizdow?
I mean, there's a chance, I would say, but I don't see them accelerating it to that point. I think it would be nice to see them acknowledge Mizdow getting over and make it a triple threat or something like that, but I think they're just going to keep it a singles match between Miz and Sheamus.
But we can't agree that this is pretty much leading to a Damian Sandow face turn, right?
It has to. It has to. I mean, I don't know who Sheamus would then go with, but Mizdow has to turn on Miz.
But we've also seen that in the past, though, right, with Alex Riley. And, Alex Riley, the pay-per-view after he turned on Miz, he beat him cleanly. And then after that, he just kind of faded away into obscurity. And now he's hosting the pre-shows on YouTube, which is still a job. I mean, a lot of guys get thrown away at this point. But, with Mizdow, would it be the start of something bigger? Because it looks like this Mizdow gimmick is working. Why ruin a good thing, right?
I don't know, that's just a gimmick, though, that you can't get far with. And every single thing Sandow does, whether it be he came up as the intellectual savior of the masses, everything he's done and had to do, he kills it. I mean, there's nothing you can go back and say, oh, he was terrible at that. Whatever crap they give him, whatever they have him do, he runs with it. And a guy like that who's entertaining and can also go in the ring, you have to find something like to get him in the upper mid-card main event scene like they were going to do before they unified the WWE and World Heavyweight Championship back in 2012 or 2013, whenever it was.
We got a question from Acer in the chat room. He's to Alex and Chris. Well, if you could stop scrolling down, that'd be great. Do you guys think they should unify the Intercontinental and United States Championships to a reformed television championship? Would be something special. Jeez, it keeps going down. Would be stop typing, guys. Would be something special than doing anything with the two current WWE mid-card championships. But that's just me. You know what? They actually wrote about this on WWE.com. They said that we're not far away from having a WWE Network Championship. And I don't know if that's going to come at the expense of one of the mid-card titles. I don't know if they're going to fuse that together and just make a network title or a television championship. But I think, it's not a bad idea to have one belt that's defended every single, television taping on Raw. I'm not saying throw it on SmackDown too. But, in WCW it worked. You had some of your mid-card guys, like the Booker T's, like the Scott Steiners, the Rick Martels of the world, who were television champion, and the belt felt important because you were seeing it every week. What do you think, Alex? Is that a good idea? Do we see the belts merge?
They really missed the ball or dropped the ball whenever they didn't unify him in like SummerSlam around there when there were reports about it, because if they knew they were going to make Lesnar champion, and if we already talked about this, if he doesn't come back to the Royal Rumble, that's just a joke as it is, but you could have had a saving grace had you unified those two titles, and you could establish an upper mid-card title for guys to battle for while Lesnar's gone, but they really need to do that, in my opinion, to generate at least a little bit of steam in the mid-card stuff they have, because right now it's just main event stuff, and you're not looking forward to anything else besides that.
And that's one of the things that frustrates me the most. Like you said, with Brock Lesnar out, this was the perfect time to start really building up some guys in the mid-card. But it seems like every single week we get the tag team champions, we get the Intercontinental champion, we get the United States champion, thrown in these meaningless six-man tag team matches to combine all of these feuds into one to quote-unquote save time during a 3-hour program when you can spread all of these things out. Have singles matches, have these storylines build out, because right now there's just nothing to get invested in. I know, and people have kind of ridiculed me in the past because I was like, I'm not into a Dolph Ziggler versus Cesaro storyline, for example, for the Intercontinental Championship. And people are telling me, well, it's Ziggler and Cesaro. I mean, they're two of the best workers in the industry. What story do they have at this point? Why the hell should I care about what they're doing? Yeah, they're going to have a great match, but at the same time, there's no backdrop to it. It's just two guys going at it, which I enjoy watching them wrestle. I enjoy watching them compete, but there's no substance, right?
Exactly. I mean, with the 3-hour show, you would think you'd be able to build up things with like in-ring, like promo stuff besides the main event, but they simply don't do that. They have to fill it with other stuff. I mean, you need to have backstory and meaningful stuff in the matches. You can't just say, oh, well, these two guys are great in the ring, let's just throw them together, no backstory or anything, and they'll fight over a title. Because Cesaro or whoever challenges for that title, they're not going to win.
I think Ed said something. Don't forget about Renegade as a former WCW television champion. He passed away, didn't he?
I don't know.
Come on, Alex. You're the encyclopedia here. You're the professor, Mike Tenay.
I'll go to Wiki.
Yeah, go to Wiki and look up Renegade. WCW.
He died. He died in 1999.
Wow, you're fast on the keyboard there, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Anyways,
R.I.P.
it looks like we're going to go through an entire show and not have John Alba or Doug O'Mac show up. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. We'll see. We'll see in the chat room if they really miss it. But we got some great viewership here. We thank everyone who's joining us. We still got. It's only around 7:10. We still got a lot of stuff to talk about. If you have any questions or comments you want to leave in the chat room, anything you want me and Alex to discuss, please throw it our way because right now we're talking about Monday Night Raw, and we've gotten to the point in the show where we basically have to talk about Nikki and Brie Bella. And last week on Monday Night Raw, we had Brie Bella with one bloody hand tied behind her back defeat Summer Rae, and I just wanted to bang my head against the wall. I couldn't believe it. Brie Bella, who's not an awful worker, but she's not a great worker either, and she beat Summer Rae, someone who I've been high on as an in-ring competitor and someone I thought could have been a future challenger for the Divas Championship. And Brie beat her with one hand tied behind her back, and now it looks like at Hell in a Cell we are going to get the inevitable Nikki versus Brie match, which I think we're all looking forward to. Not. The rumor of them doing a Hell in a Cell match between the two divas was stupid to begin with, and it's not going to happen. But it looks like now we could be getting a stipulation added where the loser becomes the assistant to the other one. Unless we forget, this was the stipulation, or one of the stipulations, that Stone Cold Steve Austin was not a fan of back in the day and was one of the reasons why he left when he was feuding with Ric Flair. Alex, the loser becoming the servant, Brie and Nikki, what do you say, man?
Why?
The reaction is priceless.
Why? Why do you do this? Just have them. Just don't have them wrestle. I don't know what else to do. You don't have to have a stipulation about it. I mean, that's just gonna lead to more things. Oh, they'll have a. I guarantee you. We always talk about this. I guarantee you at Survivor Series, they're going to have a big Divas match. They might have Paige and AJ go their separate ways, but we're going to get Team Nikki versus Team Brie with something on the line. I guarantee you that happens. I guarantee it.
You really think we're getting Team Nikki versus Team Brie?
They're obviously going along with this storyline if they're talking about Hell in a Cell match or a match where one of them has to work for each other. I guarantee you they try and make this a Team Survivor Series thing because they're going to have a third match to this all.
But who the hell do you team with them?
You just throw all the divas that are in there. You have like the Alicia Foxes with I don't think they incorporate Paige and AJ Lee. That'd be
you can't do that because you're going to say that the Divas Championship feud is worse than what Brie and Nikki are doing, which is not true at all.
But you're going to find like heels at like Summer Rae, Layla. They have enough divas to make it work. I mean, look at the Invitational they threw out. They always have these huge divas matches. They're going to find a way to make two teams, one face and one heel. I guarantee it.
Just a quick comment, Patrick. One of the Patricks anyway. How do I feel about Wilder Sports being reinstated? It feels fantastic, buddy. For those of you who are unaware, my Twitter account was suspended. Sorry, Jennifer Lawrence. We're still cool. I hope. Follow me on Twitter if you ever get an account. But yeah, it feels good. I'm back. Follow me on Twitter at Wilder Sports. Follow Alex on Twitter at GlassModeALB. Yeah, I just want to change the subject from Nikki and Brie Bella because it's like one of the worst things in wrestling right now, and it just pisses me off. Sorry to say. I mean, Raw pisses me off in general, but if there's one segment that just happens each and every week, it's Nikki and Brie. And on all due respect to Nikki Bella, who is actually a serviceable heel, and she's not a train wreck like her sister, but at the same time, it's just the dynamic between those two doesn't work. They're twin sisters. Are we really supposed to buy that they hate each other? And we just can't, right?
Yeah, it's that and just like terrible acting on both parts. I mean, Brie's a train wreck. I'd consider Nikki a train wreck. She just looks good by comparison, in my opinion. They're both just god-awful. The only way to make stuff better is insert Stephanie McMahon, but we've already seen that. It doesn't help too much. It's just bad.
Just giving a quick shout-out to some of the people in the chat room here, people that always follow us on WrestlingRumors.net or always in the chat rooms, people like Acer, JBL's Dragon Ed, we got Jazz, we got Pat, we got both Patricks, it's I Love Lana, whoever that is, we got Smart Mark, a lot of fantastic people in the chat room today. We thank you for joining us, as always. When we apologize when there's just really not a lot to talk about in the world of wrestling. It's been that bad, unfortunately, and it's just gotten to the point where you kind of, am I the only one who thinks this, like wrestling has become more of a chore than it has entertainment?
It's definitely a chore when you make anything 3 hours long each and every week. That's a chore. There's nothing that can last that long. Even for some pro sports, you just can't have it like that.
Well, I'll ask the people in the chat room right now because on Monday nights there's just a lot of different options to watch on television. We got the Voice is on, apparently Dancing with the Stars, Gotham at 8 o'clock, something I'm really invested in, and then of course Monday Night Football. That's all going up against Monday Night Raw. Has anyone out there been tempted to just change the channel but just not change back? Maybe you're just fed up with the product. And I will say, a couple of weeks ago, I was very adamant on Twitter. I just said, I'm done. I dropped the remote. I left my television, and I was just like, screw it. It's not enjoyable anymore. And I don't know if it was that week or a week prior, but I was actually on Wrestle Reaction that night with Frank Manzo, which you can catch immediately following Monday Night Raw. Wrestle Reaction with Frank Manzo. I was a guest a couple weeks ago. You can always go back in the vault and watch that. But yeah, anyone in the chat room, any other questions you want to throw our way, feel free to. Because again, Hell in a Cell, the card is barren. It's empty. There's nothing on the card at this point. And Alex, is there anything else that we're missing here? Any big tidbits?
I'm trying to think of other things like the piece you wrote about what we could see at Hell in a Cell. I mean, we covered Big Show and Rusev a little bit. We covered the title matches that don't matter. I mean, I don't see anything else that's even applicable to talk about in terms of Hell in a Cell and Raw. The only thing that I don't think we mentioned this, we might have. Hulk Hogan's going to come in there next week. Did we talk about that? Yeah, we talked about that before the show. Hulk Hogan,
Jimmy
Carter reportedly going to be there next week. For what? Who knows?
Yeah, what's Hogan going to be back on the show for? I understand why he was there for the Susan G. Komen Foundation, which is an awesome cause. Of course, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you want someone like a big name like Hogan to be a part of that. But next week, Jimmy Hart's going to be there. What are they going to do? It's obviously not going to be for storyline purposes, I would think. It's the week before Hell in a Cell. Why would Hogan be there? And you even brought up before the show, maybe it has something to do with WWE 2K15, although the game is released a couple of weeks after that. So who knows? Hulkster is back. I even wrote at the end of the article when I posted the Hogan news piece that, all of these part-timers, especially the two names that come to mind, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan, have they reached the point now in their returns where they're coming back so frequently and then not being used properly that it's lost its, je ne sais quoi. It's not special anymore. It's not important. You're just like, well, there's Hogan, there's Flair. Shouldn't we be more excited about this? I don't feel that way.
Yeah, I don't feel that way at all. I mean, Flair's been there countless times, and every single time you think they're going to do something with him, but they don't. I mean, I understand why they have Hogan there frequently now, just because he's the face of the company, face is an old face of the company, but I don't get it. I honestly don't know how they can incorporate them for whatever show they have to have them there for.
But it's the Hulkster, brother. Say your prayers and eat your vitamins and all that
Tape
stuff.
on your bandana. Yeah, hair extensions.
Yeah. I never really get hair extensions.
It's terrible. It's just brutal. I mean, he needs to go with the Bret Michaels look and just somehow clean it up, but why is it every single time Hulk Hogan comes on, you're getting two things. You get the hair extensions and you get Jimmy Hart, who must be surgically attached to him. Because every single where Hulk Hogan goes, who do you see in the shot? Oh, Jimmy Hart's there too.
I'm just looking up some recent news here. Apparently on the most recent edition of the Stone Cold Steve Austin show, one of his acclaimed podcasts, and we've reported before that WWE and Steve Austin might be working together. He was asked which TNA stars he think would thrive in World Wrestling Entertainment, and some of the names he brought up are James Storm, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, and then former TNA star AJ Styles. Alex, if there was a couple of guys in TNA right now who you think would not only could show up on WWE programming, obviously, but you think would thrive in that new environment, who would you pick?
I don't know. Thrive's a... What do you mean by thrive? Main event scene or upper mid card?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be washed away. They're not going to be forgotten, left at the bottom of the heap. Someone who you think can make an impact.
I'd say maybe Styles in terms of guys that were never in WWE to begin with. Styles, Rude, and Aries for me, but it all depends on how creative would even book them, and I don't think they could do anything monumental for either of the three.
You know
That's
what's
just my
funny?
opinion, though.
You know what's funny? I always thought that one of the reasons why WWE might not consider bringing in AJ Styles is the fact that he has the letters AJ tattooed on his on the side of his stomach, And what else can you call him at that point? You would have to call him AJ because it's on his bloody body, and you already have someone on the roster named AJ Lee. So, but I mean, we've had multiple Chris's before on the roster, so does it really matter? I mean, they could probably get away with having two people who have the same name, right?
Yeah, and then you always get the problem, too. Those guys aren't coming in as AJ Styles or Samoa Joe or Bobby Roode. They're coming in as or James Storm, like James Typhoon. You have to swing. You have to get something that can be James Typhoon, maybe the
Oh my God.
stylish AJ Styles. You have to get things that you can copyright nowadays.
What would be the opposite of Bobby Roode? It would be like Bobby Nice Guy, Bobby,
No, you'd
uh,
have to have a play on words with
Bobby
Rude
Sweet.
somehow, like
Yeah.
uh, Doctor Rue,
What about Bobby
Doctor Rude,
Kangaroo?
something dumb like that.
Would we be into Bobby Kangaroo maybe? Make
Yes,
him an
have him
Aussie.
make him a kangaroo. You have a triple threat right there: the gator, the bunny, and
The bunny and the
the
kangaroo.
kangaroo.
This is why we need to be writing WWE programming. Whoever's
It's
on the
funny,
creative,
goddammit.
it's funny. It's funny, goddammit. That sounded more like Austin, though. I was trying to do Vince McMahon. That was actually more Austin. Acer brought up in the chat room. He's like, Alex, what did you think about my Hulk Hogan impression? Was it good?
It was fantastic.
Thank you, because it's because I did the like I'm in a wind tunnel or something, and that's what keeps the chat room excited, hopefully. But yeah, what is JBL's Dragon Ed saying? A tattoo may blackball AJ Styles. Come on, Walter. You know what? WWE would look for any reason to blackball AJ Styles because he's a former TNA guy and whatnot. And you know what? He has AJ on his spine. It might be a shot against him. And he was actually there for a little bit. He did some matches back in the day, some dark stuff. So who's to say, Alex? Who's to say? You look so interested right now. I love it.
Yeah,
I put the
yeah.
camera on you, and you're just like, we're looking at the time here. We are approximately half an hour away from Monday Night Raw. We have a little bit over 5 minutes left. Again, if you have any questions in the chat room or on Twitter at Walder Sports, at Glass Mode ALB, at WrestleRumors, just throw them that way. We're here to chat. We're here to chat wrestling. I'm trying to do my best Doug O'Mac impression. I don't have the awesome beard. I don't have hair either. He even wore a toque last week, which was my gimmick back in the winter. For those of you who have been watching the show for a long time. So I can't wear my toque anymore because that's all Doug's thing. But again, we thank you for joining us. It's just been that kind of day in the world of wrestling. I mean, we could play some Wiz Khalifa and John Cena stuff if you want, but I don't think that would attract the viewers, eh, Alex?
No, possibly another song. Though I'm gonna have to go in my library.
What song? Get out the good stuff, Alex. But no, what song?
It's making its return after a 1 week absence, I believe, maybe 2 week absence.
Not this one.
Gotta find the title. I don't know the title.
What is it? It's not entrance music, is it?
Yeah, it's entrance music.
It's entrance music. I'm looking. Jazz is writing some names here for TNA guys with their names. Oh, yeah, I hear that, Alex. I hear that. But yeah, to what Jazz was writing in the chat room, Samoa Joseph, Jim Storm, Otto Von AJ. Otto Von AJ, I like that. I don't know why. It sounds like something like a mad scientist would like the name of that would be. What would you change your name to, Alex, if you were in WWE?
If I was a wrestler.
Yeah, if you had to change your name.
And
that's a good question we can pose to everyone in the chat room. What did you guys think you would change your name to if you were employed by WWE?
I don't know. You first, Walter.
What would I call myself? I would just make myself like a sound effect. I wouldn't even have a name. It would just be a sound. I would just like that would just be my name. And it would be funny because you would have to see Lillian Garcia making his way to the ring from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Here is and that would be awesome. That would be a first. It's original. But yeah, sorry. We actually do have a question from Jazz here in the chat room. What do we think of Hideo Itami's current run in NXT? And obviously, he debuted at the previous NXT Takeover pay-per-view, Fatal 4-Way, and he's been doing a lot of stuff with the Ascension, and now it looks like he's going to be teaming with Prince Devitt when he eventually makes his debut in November. Alex, we'll finish off the show with this. Hideo Itami, your thoughts?
Didn't watch it. Probably good though.
Really? You have not seen any of the Hideo Itami?
I don't have time to watch NXT. I've seen a little bit of it, but not like I haven't watched NXT for his segments on a week-to-week basis.
Have you not followed what's happened on
Yeah, I do know that Funaki has been involved, and I think that's a plus.
Why?
B plus.
It's Funaki is only cool if they do the Kung Fu Naki stuff. The idea of we should end the show on the Kung Fu Naki theme music. How's that for epic, Alex? Come on, buddy. I know you're Mr. Music. I know you're Mr. Music. Do you actually have Ryback's music like programmed into your phone?
What? Maybe.
Just go to YouTube and pull up the Kung Fu Naki. I think the chat room would be interested in listening.
I can't pull it up on YouTube. I have headphones in.
Ed is asking if I'm the motorboat master. By the way, yeah, well, you know it, buddy. But yeah, let's get the Kung Fu Naki music out. That's how we finish our program here, right, Alex?
Mm-hmm.
Not Ryback.
Gonna have to return a new classic, maybe.
And again, to everyone who's been watching the show, again, we thank you for watching. We apologize for Doug O'Mac not being here. If you're a big fan of his, if you're a big fan of John Alba, they'll surely be back next week, I hope. But hopefully me and Alex didn't stink the bed too much. Hopefully you guys had a good time. We appreciate everyone joining us in the chat room, leaving us questions. We seriously have the best readers on the bloody planet. And, of course, you can follow us during Monday Night Raw as well. We're doing live tweeting on the WrestleRumors account. Me and Alex will be talking on our own personal Twitter accounts. Alex, am I hearing Kung Fu Naki soon?
No, you will not be. You'll be hearing this.
What?
Oh.
Well, I can't even hear it. What is it?
In a language that everybody here can easily understand.
Oh, come on.
He's back.
He's back, baby. And I think that's our cue to end.
OVW main event star in the making. CM Punk.
Never be an announcer, Alex. Please. Just no. You got to put some more oomph into your voice when you announce someone like CM Punk, who will be returning soon. I'm 20% sure of it. Of course, you could follow me on Twitter at WalderSports. I'm back, baby. No more at WalderSports26. I know you can't even see it here. It's like all muffled, but at WalderSports26. Alex, any last words? Plug your Twitter, buddy.
Glass Mode ALB for all the latest Penguins talk, and Claude Giroux grabbing cops' anuses talk. And that is it.
What the hell are you talking about?
Claude Giroux, the well-known, noted cop bum grabber.
Claude Giroux?
Philadelphia Flyers hockey player who likes cops a little bit too much, and it cost him dearly.
I never want to hear that story again. Please, no. And this is why I cover the Toronto Raptors, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have to talk about any cops and hockey players grabbing tushies in Canada. Right, Acer? I know you're out there. I know you're listening. Yeah, at Walder Sports, at Glass Mode ALB. Wrestle Rumors. Follow us tonight on Raw. Wrestle Reaction after the show with Frank Manzo. We'll see you guys soon. Follow the Walder Sports.
Feed me.
Peace.